All right, it's another Benchmade day. I just picked this up a couple days ago. It is the 2750 Adamas, the new version. This one has a cpm-cruwear steel instead of the D2. So it's a Shane Siebert, which is cool that they're still giving him credit for it, because this is like the part 2 or Mark 2. I'll read off the specifications. And then we'll kind of get into it. So it's overall length of 8.9 inches. It's a big knife, not super huge. Blade length of 3.8. Blade thickness of 1400ths. And it's cruwear again. So the Rockwell hardness is 63 to 65, so a little harder. Pretty proper. Handle length of just over 5. Handle thickness of 6500ths. And it weighs 6.17 ounces. I can't remember if that was Benchmade site or if I got that somewhere else. So we'll go back through those and we'll go through what they changed. So it's really similar to the original model. Just a few changes. And honestly, for the better. I really like the first knife. I had an Adamas originally, then I sold it, and I bought the 275, which is the manual, which I just happen to have with me. Pretty much the same knife, some differences. We'll go through them. We'll go through the dimensions first. Changes. So the overall length is exactly the same. They will say different on the websites. Like they're saying that this one's actually longer than the original, but it's not. If you put them side by side, they're not. Blade length, same thing. Blade thickness, that's a difference. So this is 1400ths, so it is a little thinner than the original of 1600ths. Cruwear, obviously that's a big difference. And it's an improvement, you know, I had no problem with the D2, but I think most people would say, at least on paper, Cruwear is the better steel. Handle length, same. Handle thickness, that's another difference. So this is actually, original I think was 7700ths or 76. This one is 6500ths. And it is noticeable. Then the weight. So the original is dang near 8 ounces. This thing is just barely over 6 ounces. So I cut a couple ounces. All right, so big differences. It's gonna be kind of hard to do. Hold on, bear with me here. All right. So you can see that they've beveled the handle, the scales, chamfered them all the way around. Okay, and then especially where your finger around there in the finger guard, and then at the rear, the hilt. So you see the original is not. Now, do this. It's really squared off, so it's wider. It actually has, the original actually has thicker liners by only a couple hundredths, but they are noticeably thicker. You can tell just with the naked eye. I tried measuring them. It's kind of hard to do. And you can see the squared off these edges are, where the new one is chamfered. I'll show you that here in a minute. It's real squared off. And then there's no relief there in that finger choil. Pretty square. It's jimped. And I think on the new one, you can see where they have those routed out, the liners and the scales. And then there is a back spacer, which I like. That's the only thing about the Now the new one I don't really, I would like to have seen that backspacer for whatever reason. A lot of people don't like backspacer or would prefer not to, but I kind of like them. Anyway, that's it. The rest of it I think is an improvement. The new one's lighter, dimensionally the same, except for, like, you know, the new one's thinner, a little thinner, less liners, dropped a couple ounces. Took a great knife and made it better. One thing you'll also notice, just like the original, see if I can do this side by side. Okay, so the depth of these blades is different, and it's just like they haven't changed it. The original auto Adamas compared to the original manual, the auto was a little thinner depth-wise on that blade, as in cutting edge to the top. Okay, barely. I think it's like 1/10 of an inch, because I did measure them. So not much, but I mean, you can notice with your naked eye that the original, the manual is a thicker blade. So keep that in mind, or a deeper blade, a broader blade than the autos. And that's the same. That's the way it was in the first generation. So those are some of the differences there. Anyway, this is just a great knife. So they got a Cerakote. I think it's Cerakote. I can't remember. But it's kind of a tan bronze. It's really cool. I've just done a little bit of woodwork with this, so I'm thinking that that'll hold up pretty good. And you can tell that with that pivot, I guess they don't really want you taking this thing apart. To get to the back of that pivot, you got to take the scale off. And trust me, when I had that original, I tried taking it apart, and they are way more complex than your standard push button auto. That'll bring us to the next topic is, do you need an auto access? The answer is no. But it's kind of cool where you can, so you will. Well, they could, so they did. And I like it. I got no problem with it. The one good thing is, nothing wrong with thumb studs, but there's no thumb studs on this. It's just bare naked blade. And I like that. No serrations, plain all the way. It's a thick blade, but if you do measure, and I did, unfortunately my calipers only go up to hundreds, not thousands, but we'll just say it's 200ths or 2500ths or so behind the edge there. I don't know, give or take, 2500ths, give or take. And actually, same on this. I did measure this, and it's about the same. So even though this is a broader blade, they're both thinned out about the same. Same geometry, I should say. Or it ends up the same. It's a pretty bitey blade up here. Unfortunately, I got it with the serrated version, but you get up here, and if you're whittling on something, you get a really good bite with that. It's got good geometry. And from what I can tell so far, same with this. I think it does kind of, you get up in here, it does thicken up a little bit behind the edge, but that would just add to the durability. This knife is not designed for slicing, but it slices okay. I'll say that. I don't know. I probably have other blades that are better, but this one isn't bad at all. And I think I appreciate them thinning that thing out to 1400ths now instead of 1600ths. I think that the 1600ths is a little much, a little unnecessary. This thing is still plenty strong. I mean, you're not going to flex this thing at all. You're never going to get any flex out of this, and they just thinned it out from the original, which I think was good because they did lighten up. I mean, 2 ounces they cut off of this thing, and you can tell. You can pick this thing up, or I can really tell. And theoretically, there's more parts in this than there is in the standard, the manual. So, I mean, thumb studs, which I'm not saying these things weigh much, but they do add up. This has got extra springs in it. Still has the axis. And also, I guess I should mention, it does have a safety, which honestly, I think I did put a couple holes in my pocket. You do not want an auto axis that is tipped down. I'll put it that way, because I did have a couple of these open up, or I had mine, it opened up in my pocket and sliced the pocket of my pants a couple times. So, Yeah, another thing is the pocket clip. It's cool. They got the Parkerized. Then it's not shiny black paint. It's Parkerized. And that's a great pocket clip. I like it. No backspacer. Jimp though, just the same. It's pretty good. Pretty grippy there. And then you can see this. They kind of got that structure on the G10 grain, like wood grain looking stuff. All blacked out hardware. Take another look at that blade. I think it's just a beautiful blade. I really like drop points. I like how they got this switched out up here. So it's good durability, good penetration, but still, I think, pretty slicey enough for what it's designed for. It's a hard use knife. So anyway, I'm out on a hike. I figured I'd shoot a video on this because I was pretty excited to get it. I picked it up at a Sportsman's Warehouse. They didn't have it out. And I asked them if they had any. They had one Adamas and a manual. And I said, how many of those you got? Because I didn't want to buy one out of the counter or out of the case. You know, the demo model, presentation model. So the guy said, hey, we got, I saw some boxes. I saw some black boxes back there in the back. And he went and looked. And I was like, well, you know, I said, well, you know, you got one of these, or I was actually looking at an Infidel, same case with the Infidel. Just for some reason, everybody will pick one of those up. He came out with this, and I was like, damn, hell yeah, jump on that, pretty good deal. But yeah, I think that's all I've got. Just wanted to show this one. Anyway, you have yourselves a nice rest of your day. See ya.